Success. Think, work, succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the greatest prison in your life may not have walls, locks, guards, or chains? What if the prison is a sentence you have repeated so many times that you no longer recognize it as a sentence? I'm not good enough. I'm too late. I don't have what they have. My circumstances are different. People like me don't succeed. Imagine discovering, years from now, that the life you wanted was standing on the other side of a door that you never tried to open because you had already convinced yourself it was locked. That possibility should frighten you, because the tragedy of life is not always that people fail. Sometimes the tragedy is that they never attempt the life they were capable of living. There is a strange mystery inside every human being. We walk through the world carrying possibilities that even we cannot fully see. Somewhere inside you, there may be a courage you have never tested, a talent you have never developed, a dream you buried because somebody laughed at it, a strength that has been waiting patiently for the moment when life would demand that you use it. And perhaps that is where success begins. Not with money, not with applause, not with a title, not with somebody standing on a stage and handing you a trophy. Success begins much earlier. It begins in the invisible world of thought. Before a person builds a company, they build an idea. Before an athlete wins a championship, they build a vision of themselves, capable of competing. Before a writer publishes a book, there is a moment when the story exists only inside the writer's imagination. Before a person changes their life, something inside them first whispers, "There must be more." That whisper is important. Listen to it, because there comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide whether they are going to remain a prisoner of the identity they inherited, or become the architect of the identity they choose. You were given a name. You were given a family. You were given circumstances. You were given a history. But you were not given a finished destiny. Your past may explain you, but it does not have to define you. You may have failed before. You may have been rejected. You may have been underestimated. You may have made terrible decisions. You may have wasted years. You may have trusted the wrong people. You may have walked away from opportunities because you were afraid. But listen carefully. A chapter is not a life. A failure is not an identity. A mistake is not a destiny. The fact that you stumbled does not mean you were created to remain on the ground. There is something inside the human spirit that becomes powerful when it finally accepts responsibility for its own transformation. And that is why we must begin with thought. Think, not merely positive thinking, not fantasy, not sitting in a chair imagining success while refusing to work. I am talking about deeper thinking, the kind of thinking that forces you to ask uncomfortable questions. Who am I? What do I really want? Why do I want it? What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding? Which weaknesses am I pretending not to have? Which strengths am I afraid to use? What would I attempt if I knew I could not be embarrassed? What kind of person would I have to become to achieve the life I say I want? Those questions can change a life, because most people want to change their circumstances, without changing themselves. They want a new destination while carrying the same habits. They want success while protecting their excuses. They want confidence without facing fear. They want discipline without discomfort. They want transformation without surrendering the old version of themselves. But life does not work that way. You cannot continually feed the old identity and expect the new identity to grow. There comes a moment when you must say, "This is who I have been, but it is not necessarily who I must remain." That sentence is freedom. Think about the person who looks in the mirror and sees only limitations. They see their age. They see their failures. They see their lack of money. They see their education. They see their background. They see what they do not have. Another person may look into the same mirror and see possibility. The circumstances may be identical. The difference is interpretation. And interpretation shapes behavior. If you believe there is no point in trying, you will not try. If you believe you are incapable, you will avoid challenges. If you believe failure proves your worthlessness, every setback will destroy you. But if you believe failure is information, you will study it. If you believe difficulty develops character, you will endure it. If you believe your abilities can grow, you will practice. Your thoughts become decisions. Your decisions become actions. Your actions become habits. Your habits become character. And character quietly determines the direction of your life. That is why thought matters. But thought alone is not enough. There are people who have been thinking about success for 20 years. They have read books. They have watched speeches. They have made plans. They have written goals. They have imagined the future. But they never move. Why? Because thought can become another form of hiding. You can think forever and never risk. You can plan forever and never begin. You can research forever and never act. At some point, thinking must become work. This is where dreams become expensive. Because everybody loves the idea of success. Very few people love the process that produces it. Everybody wants the body. Few want the training. Everybody wants the business. Few want the lonely nights of learning. Everybody wants the book. Few want to sit down and write when inspiration disappears. Everybody wants the victory. Few want to practice when nobody is watching. Success is often glamorous from a distance and brutally ordinary up close. It is repetition. It is discipline. It is waking up when you would rather sleep. It is continuing when nobody applauds. It is studying when your friends are relaxing. It is practicing the same skill until your hands, mind, or instincts become better than they were yesterday. It is hearing no and asking yourself, what can I learn from this? It is failing on Monday and returning on Tuesday. It is failing on Tuesday and returning on Wednesday. It is failing again and again without allowing failure to become your identity. That is work. And work reveals something about you. It reveals whether your desire is real. Because when the excitement disappears, commitment remains. Anyone can say, I want it. The question is, how badly? Not how badly do you want the reward. How badly do you want the transformation? Because the person who earns the reward is often not the same person who first wanted it. The goal demands a different version of you, a stronger version, a more patient version, a more disciplined version, a more courageous version. And sometimes the greatest obstacle between you and success is not the world. It is the version of yourself that you refuse to outgrow. There is a story about a young man who wanted to become extraordinary. He complained constantly that nobody gave him opportunities. One day, an older mentor asked him, "What are you doing every morning?" The young man said, "I am waiting for my opportunity." The mentor smiled. "And what are you doing while you wait?" "Nothing. I am waiting," the mentor replied. "Then perhaps your opportunity is waiting for you to become ready." Think about that. What if the opportunity you are praying for would be dangerous in your current condition? What if you received the responsibility today, but did not yet possess the character required to carry it? Sometimes we think life is withholding something from us, but sometimes life is preparing us. The delay may be preparation. The struggle may be preparation. The rejection may be preparation. The quiet season may be preparation. The work nobody sees may be preparing you for the moment everybody sees. Do not despise the invisible season. Roots grow in darkness. Seeds develop beneath the soil before anybody sees a tree. And perhaps you are in a season where nothing appears to be happening. Keep going. Something may be happening inside you. You may be becoming stronger, more thoughtful, more capable, more disciplined, more aware, more resilient. Do not measure your growth only by what the world can see. Some of the most important victories of your life will be invisible. The day you finally stop needing everyone's approval. The day you choose discipline over impulse. The day you forgive yourself for an old mistake. The day you stop comparing your journey to someone else's. The day you get back up after humiliation. The day you say no to something that would have destroyed your future. Those are victories, and they matter. Because success is not simply about what you acquire. It is about what you become. There is a dangerous illusion in modern life that says success means having more than everyone else. More money, more followers, more attention, more possessions, more recognition. But imagine reaching the top of a mountain only to discover that you climbed the wrong mountain. What then? Imagine achieving the goal your parents wanted, your friends admired, and society celebrated, only to wake up one morning and realize that your own soul feels absent from your life. What then? That is why you must define success consciously. Success cannot simply be borrowed from society. You must ask yourself what a meaningful life means to you. Perhaps success means building a business. Perhaps it means becoming an excellent parent. Perhaps it means creating art. Perhaps it means serving people. Perhaps it means financial freedom. Perhaps it means mastering a craft. Perhaps it means becoming the first person in your family to break a destructive pattern. Perhaps it means waking up every morning with the knowledge that your life belongs to you. Whatever it is, make sure it is yours. Because comparison is one of the fastest ways to become a stranger to yourself. You look at someone else's life and think, "Why am I not there?" But you don't know their entire story. You see the photograph, not the sleepless nights. You see the achievement, not the sacrifices. You see the confidence, not the fear they had to overcome. You see the destination, not the road. And even if you knew their entire story, their journey would still not be yours. Your assignment is not to become someone else. Your assignment is to become more fully yourself. That requires courage. Because discovering yourself is not always comfortable. There are parts of yourself you will need to confront. Your jealousy, your arrogance, your insecurity, your need for approval, your tendency to procrastinate, your fear of rejection, your desire to blame others, your habit of quitting when things become difficult. We like to celebrate the bright side of ourselves. But growth often begins when we are willing to look into the darker corners, not to hate ourselves, to understand ourselves. The parts of you that you refuse to acknowledge can quietly control you. The fear you will not face can make your decisions for you. The insecurity you deny can determine who you date, what opportunities you accept, what risks you take, and how you respond to criticism. But when you face those things honestly, they begin to lose their mysterious power. You can say, "Yes, I am afraid," and then act anyway. That is courage. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means fear is no longer the person holding the steering wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, your life will ask you to be courageous. It will ask you to begin before you feel ready. It will ask you to leave something behind. It will ask you to endure disappointment. It will ask you to stand alone sometimes. And there will be moments when you wonder whether you are foolish for continuing. Those moments are not necessarily signs that you should stop. Sometimes they are the moments when your old identity is fighting for survival. You have become accustomed to comfort. You know how to live inside familiar limitations. And then suddenly you decide to grow. Growth threatens familiarity. Your mind may tell you, "Go back." Your fear may tell you, "This is too difficult." Your friends may tell you, "Be realistic." Your past may tell you, "You have always been this way." But you can answer, "Perhaps, but I am not finished." Never underestimate the power of a person who believes they are not finished. They can fall and rise. They can lose and rebuild. They can be rejected and improve. They can be underestimated and continue. They can walk through darkness without believing. Darkness is their final destination. That is resilience. And resilience is built through work. Not motivational quotes. Not wishful thinking. Work, small work. Daily work, unremarkable work. You do not need to transform your entire life tomorrow. You need to make the next right decision. Write 10 pages, practice for 30 minutes. Make the call, prompt the first paragraph. Exercise, study, Steve. Apologize. Start. Then do it again tomorrow, and again, and again. The human mind often wants dramatic transformation. But life is usually changed through accumulated decisions. One decision rarely creates an entire future. Thousands of decisions do. Think about a river. A river does not carve a mountain because it is powerful for 1 minute. It does it through persistence, again, and again, and again. You must become like that, persistent enough. That resistance eventually has to make room for you. You will encounter people who are more talented than you. Good. Learn from them. You will encounter people with more resources than you. Good. Don't find another path. You will encounter people who started earlier. Good. Their clock is not your clock. You will encounter people who doubt you. Let them. Your future does not require unanimous approval. You will fail. Learn. You will succeed. Stay humble. You will be praised. Do not become addicted to it. You will be criticized. Do not become destroyed by it. Keep your center. Because the person who depends entirely on external approval becomes a prisoner of other people's opinions. And the person who can stand internally becomes difficult to manipulate. Now who you are. Now what you value. Now what you are willing to sacrifice. Know what you will never sacrifice. Then walk. One step. Then another. There may be days when you feel powerful. There may be days when you feel empty. Do the work anyway. That is the difference between motivation and commitment. Motivation says, I feel like doing this. Commitment says, this matters even when I don't feel like doing it. And if you can master that distinction, your life can change. Because your feelings are real, but they do not always deserve authority. You may feel tired. Continue intelligently. You may feel afraid. Proceed carefully. You may feel uncertain. Learn. You may feel discouraged. Wrecked. Then return. Do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Your future deserves more patience than that. And remember this. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You only need enough courage to take the next step. Sometimes we demand certainty before beginning, but certainty often comes after movement. You begin, you learn, you adjust, you improve. Then the path becomes clearer. The person who waits for perfect conditions may wait forever. There will never be a perfect moment. There will only be moments. Use them. Your life is being built while you are listening to this. Not tomorrow. Now, every thought you entertain, every decision you make, every habit you repeat, every person you allow to influence you, every hour you spend, every excuse you accept, every uncomfortable task you avoid. They are all votes for a future. So ask yourself, what future are my daily actions voting for? Not what do I say I want. What are my actions saying I want? That question can be uncomfortable. But discomfort can be useful. It can wake you up. And perhaps you need to wake up. Perhaps there is a dream inside you that has been sleeping too long. Perhaps you have been waiting for permission. Here is your permission. Begin. You do not need everyone to understand. You do not need everyone to agree. You do not need to know exactly how everything will work. You need a direction. You need courage. You need discipline. And you need to keep moving. Think, work, succeed. But understand the order. First, think deeply enough to know what you are pursuing. Then work consistently enough to become capable of achieving it. Then, succeed, not merely by reaching the destination, but by becoming the person who can stand there with integrity. And when you finally arrive, remember the person who began. Remember the nights nobody knew about. Remember the doubts. Remember the failures. Remember the people who helped you. Remember the moments when quitting would have been easier. And if, one day, you stand on a stage receiving applause, do not believe the applause created your success. The applause came late. The work came first. The transformation happened in silence. That is where your real victory was born. Ladies and gentlemen, one day your life will become a story. You do not know yet how many chapters remain. You do not know who will enter the story. You do not know what will be lost. You do not know what will be gained. You do not know how many times you will fall. But you have a choice about how you meet the unknown. You can meet it as a victim of your circumstances, or you can meet it as a participant in your own transformation. You can keep asking, "Why me?" Or you can begin asking, "What can I become because of this?" You can wait for life to give you confidence, or you can build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. You can wait for the world to recognize your potential, or you can develop that potential until recognition becomes irrelevant. Do not wait for someone to tell you that you are capable. Become capable. Do not wait for someone to believe in your dream. Work until you believe in your ability to pursue it. Do not wait for fear to disappear. Walk with fear. Do not wait for failure to stop happening. Become someone who knows how to recover. And do not wait for life to become easy. Become stronger. Because perhaps the greatest secret of success is not that successful people never suffer. They suffer. They doubt. They fail. They grieve. They become exhausted. They experience rejection. The difference is that they refuse to let suffering become meaningless. They extract wisdom from it. They turn wounds into awareness. They turn failure into instruction. They turn difficulty into strength. They turn experience into character. And eventually, they become the kind of person who can say, "I did not choose everything that happened to me, but I chose what I would become because of it." That is power. That is responsibility. That is freedom. So, when you leave this room, do not merely feel inspired. Inspiration is beautiful, but inspiration without action evaporates. Take one thing you have been avoiding and face it. Take one dream you have been postponing and give it a deadline. Take one habit that is weakening you and begin replacing it. Take one skill that could change your future and start practicing it. Take one step, then another, and another. Because the mountain does not care about your excuses. The future does not care about your intentions. Potential means nothing until it is converted into action. Think, work, succeed. And when the world tells you that you cannot, do not waste your entire life arguing with the world. Build. Let your discipline speak. Let your character speak. Let your results speak. Let the person you become speak. One day, perhaps years from now, you may look back at this moment and realize that your life changed when you stopped waiting to become somebody and started becoming yourself. And perhaps that is what success really is. Not becoming a person everyone envies. Becoming a person you respect. Not owning everything. Needing less approval. Not defeating everyone else. Defeating the fear that kept you small. Not proving that you are better than another person. Proving that you were capable of more than you once believed. So think deeply, work honestly, walk courageously, file intelligently, rise repeatedly. And when you finally reach a place that once seemed impossible, do not stop. Because success is not a finish line. It is a relationship with growth. There will always be another mountain, another lesson, another version of yourself waiting to emerge. And perhaps, at the end of your life, the greatest question will not be, how much did you have? It will be, how fully did you live? Did you use your gifts? Did you face your fears? Did you love? Did you create? Did you serve? Did you become conscious of who you were? Did you have the courage to become who you could be? Ladies and gentlemen, your life is not waiting for permission. Your future is not waiting for perfection. Your potential is waiting for a decision. Make that decision. Think, work, succeed. And when you fall, rise. When you doubt, remember. When you fear, move. When you fail, learn. When you succeed, remain humble. And when the road becomes dark, remember that darkness does not mean the journey has ended. Sometimes darkness is simply the place where you learn to see with different eyes. Your life is still being written. The next sentence is yours. Write it with courage. Live it with purpose. Build it with discipline. And when history asks what you did with the life you were given, let the answer be simple. I thought beyond my limitations. I worked beyond my excuses. I faced myself. I kept going. And I became. Think, work, succeed. Not someday, begin now.